Smart 24, driving business.
All right, it is the Independence Week, this very one, because today is Monday 3rd, Sunday will be 9th, and Uganda will be marking 60 days or 60 years of independence. Welcome aboard to Smart Means Business's topic of discussion. It is a brand new week, but just so you know, you can invest in securities and bonds as easy as possible by using the Zabu platform. Zabu gives you the opportunity to invest as much as you can in bonds and securities by dialing *292# on MTN Uganda. So the MTN subscribers, the USSD code is *292# and you follow the prompts. You can invest in any bond or any security. And when it comes to the bonds, you can choose the years or the bonds that you want to definitely invest in, whether 2 to 3 years, 4, 6, 10 years, and you can earn more from your money. Zabu says your money, your future. And it is powered by Altex East Africa. It is easy done, possibly with the comfort of your phone. So that is it with the Zabu platform. All right. Now, we're heading into our topic of discussion. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko again here. Good morning, and thank you for keeping it Smart Means Business. Well, our topic of discussion today is going to be centered around discussions to do with the taxes on imported garments. The imported garments, speaking of which, those are garments, the textiles, basically clothing that comes in from abroad. Countries like China, countries like Turkey, I believe almost a number of traders do import these goods or do import these garments into Uganda. And just recently, the dealers in imported garments have got some reprieve after the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matia Kasaija, announced a waiver of some taxes on the goods. When you look at the budget for the financial year 2021-2022, last year, that just concluded this very year, the minister had introduced an import duty of $3.5 per kilogram of cloth. That is around 35% of the value of the item, which looks really higher. But with continuous negotiations and discussions, Kampala City Traders Association and then other stakeholders in the garment sector have gone ahead to have key discussions with the government to ensure that these taxes do not continue, or to ensure that the Uganda Revenue Authority cuts short these taxes, because they forced many out of the business. And speaking of the taxes being high, joining me this morning to discuss more on the issue to do with taxes on imported garments, I do have a gentleman who is the Public Relations Officer from the Kampala Cadres Advocacy Forum, that is KAFO in abbreviation, Mozamiru Kwebiha Abori, who is going to be taking us through this entire taxation on imported garments and how it is affecting the traders in Uganda, those dealing in the garments or the textiles. Many thanks for joining us this morning, sir.
Good morning, Smart TV. Mozamiru Abori is my name, Public Relations, Kampala Cadres Advocacy Firm, a firm that takes all the 783 arcades around Kampala and the Kampala Metropolitan. It's good to be Smart TV.
If you're to look at most of these arcades, I believe most of the traders are dealing in garments as well.
Absolutely, and most arcades, obviously, they deal in imported commodities. And you know, as Uganda is still, you know, struggling to see that they go into value addition and production of their own commodities. So, you know, if I'm say 75% of the arcades, they deal in imported goods, and most so the garments.
Okay. And how is business moving on for most of the traders? Because when you look at the arcades, by the way, some arcades are not that full.
Well, you know, after the COVID, you know, lockdown, obviously people had to relocate. And people had to find their levels financially, because like as they came back, they had you know, big, you know, obligations, financial obligations, and some landlords were not very fair. They needed their, you know, rent areas of, you know, lockdown, and others thought it better probably to relocate to the outskirts of Kampala. So business not all that doing well, as compared also to the increment of interest rate by the Bank of Uganda. Have recently increased it from 8.5 to 9.5, and that means that the commercial banks also must increase. So like, you know, the economy is staggering, and the traders downtown also staggering.
Okay. And besides that now, if you can help the viewers trace back the journey of these taxes on imported garments, where did it all start from, and how was it previously?
Well, previously it was 36%, whereby like the traders still were, as Carrefour, we had to engage different stakeholders, Minister of Finance, URA, complaining of that even 36% was really high. But as we are still along this journey of seeing that there was some kind of relief on the 36%, as we were there again, they introduced 3.5 dollars per kilogram of a garment, which was very unfair. So like still we stood firm. We're like, you know, we're not working, and this is the cost. This is affecting our performance economically, and probably draining us to the level that we are likely to lose business. So as they suspended it for some time, and we went for COVID lockdown. They had suspended it for 9 months. So like as we came back after COVID, I think the 9 months had elapsed, and then they were like, it was brought back of like 3.5 dollars per kilo of garment. This was really so high. So like as Carrefour, we kept on fighting, and until probably the government really came in, and they were looking at it as something that they were as if approaching to see that it goes out of the arena. But still, these are mixed waves right now. You go to the Minister of Finance, it's different. You go to URA, it's different. You see the Parliament, it's also talking, having a different version. So like, it is not yet concluded. It's not yet concluded. Today, somebody will tell you, the Minister of Finance, like we waved it off, and then it may work for some few days, and then it comes back. So like, it's really confusing, and we need to come out with one voice. As government must come out with one voice on the kilograms on garments.
And when you get to realize the issue to do with kilograms on the garments, a $3.5 per kilogram of cloth would definitely cost someone, ideally, around 12,000 Ugandan shillings per kilo.
Absolutely.
So that is quite a big amount of money
for
a kilogram of textiles, because you don't really know if at all people will buy the item either way, because business is always a risk. And I believe this is one of the reasons as to why most of the traders have been coming out to say no to these taxes. But now, continuously moving in, how have these taxes affected the business community? Because we may take it in the direction that they're high, but then there are those who are still in that business and feel like they're still, it's still normal. Because when you look at some of the taxes, not everyone wants an increment, but then there are people who are always okay with these taxes.
Well, the tax is always a tax. Yes, the tax is something that is very important for the economy to grow. We all need growth, and then you get to the levels of development, infrastructure development, whatever it is. And for those that are serving the government, to see that they serve us with some kind of, standards and due diligence. But for sure, as we talk, the taxes have affected us, and globally the business is not doing well. I would really say everything is very high. Cost of production, cost of transport is really very high, as you can see. So like cost on business is really so high, and I would not, and if need be, the government must probably revise its approach. It should now bring in incentives to see that the business community stays in business as it goes on, it goes into recovery. Otherwise, as the Carrefour, we have made some research whereby like after COVID, around like 20% of the people left arcades of Kampala and relocated somewhere.
Let's help me with that figure. You said about how many people?
20%.
20%
yeah,
of the
20%
traders.
of traders left Kampala, left the business community, and continuously we are seeing a drop we're seeing a very serious drop of people leaving the business center, which is very dangerous for the country, for a reason that URA, or the tax body, it is also very important to probably find a well-stationed business person, whereby like they can really know, is located in such a point, and taxes can be caught, easily traceable. But if you really scatter this, business person, is likely to disappear into areas whereby even URA cannot trace him. I'll give an example. If literally somebody left an arcade, and this person has been paying rent, whereby URA gets rental income tax, this person has been paying income tax from his, earnings of the country. This person has also been, commuting and using maybe a vehicle where URA gets some tax from the fuel, and then this person has also been using, communication and all that. URA is getting some tax from the telecommunication.
Because everything is being taxed.
Exactly, everything. This person also goes for a loan, where the URA has got some kind of, charges on the loan that you're really getting. This somebody is using the water within arcade, and there is some payment from the water. This person is paying over 20 taxes, and this person now is located to Mawokota, so much deep in the village. Then URA, as the government, has lost a lot of money. So at the end of the day, that once people leave the business centers and all that, then the government is likely to lose a lot of money, and to lose a lot of money directly from the peasant, because as the peasant pushes food to urban centers, then the government also earns a lot of money. So that means the government should now look at incentives to see that the business person stays within their reach, stays within their vicinity. That's what I would really say. Yes.
Okay. And when you look at most of the engagements that the associations, for example, CAFO, then we've seen CASITA having with government, how have they been? How have they ended? Where's the end result? Is government promising any change whatsoever? Because accordingly, the Kampala City Traders Association did threaten that traders will close their shops, or rather their businesses down, and go on a strike because these taxes are non-favorable to them. Does that mean government has failed to come on a drawing board to make it easier for these traders?
Well, the government seem to have different, kind of voices. That is one. That is very disturbing, by the way, because the government should really always respond in time. And you see, if it is a policy, it should be a policy and shouldn't be politics. You understand? Because if you go to the minister some other times, he will promise you, he or she will promise you of for example, if you went to the Minister of Trade, she will really promise you of how they are working on the issue pertaining, the traders, call a need. And then now you go to the policymakers, they will also give you a different version. At the end of the day, you are in an engagement of whereby the policymaker is really pulling it seriously and is trying to prove to the executive of how fair the tax is. You see, that's the problem. Whereby the policymaker comes out, the technocrat within the tax body, within the Minister of Finance, is trying to prove to the government how fair, how the tax is very fair, and the parameters that a taxpayer can use probably to see that he stays in business. You understand? It's not practical on ground, but it's trying to probably convince the government so that this tax can really stay. Now also there is there are also lies in this country, I would really say, whereby you find that people from the manufacturing section, they are also having a different version, proving to the government that they have the capacity to probably produce enough of a certain commodity, which they really fail at the end of the day. I've always told people that if we still have second-hand clothes that have been worn by the foreign community, Somebody, you can imagine, somebody has put on a shirt maybe for 1 year in London, and then at the end of the day, it's like, you know, let's go to the third world country like Uganda, and then this person is still, you know, feeling comfortable putting it on. But, you know, it's not that it's comfortable that he hates put on a new cloth, but because of the economic, you know, standards that we really have. So the standards themselves, as in Uganda, we still need these clothes. We still need a lot of clothes, and let the manufacturing, you know, section or stations push for what they cannot produce as in enough capacity.
Okay. And of course, when you look closely to most of the traders in Kampala, if you're to go through different arcades, you realize most of the people in there are dealing in garments and textiles, and it's something that we look at closely. From that situation, the 35%, like I mentioned, represents $3.5 per kilogram. And before I went on air, I wanted to ask the same question. Has there been any decrease on the same percentage?
As like on the same percentage?
Over $3.5, for which represents 35%. Is there any decree that the government has any decrement whatsoever from the 3.5? Because the traders have been saying the $3.5 are quite a lot. It's too much. So is there any decrement that the government has done in the long run?
Well, the government had to take it, at this point, it took us back to 36.
Okay.
Exactly, you know, to 36%. Because like the traders seem to be a little bit, you know, okay with the 36%.
Okay.
Compared to the 3.5 per kilogram. You understand? So, but still, the 36% was really also too much. You understand? So where people are like, no, it's really too much. Because as you see, you're fighting this war. Understand that? And then somebody brings in another war that is extremely, you know, hard to deal with than the previous. You know, that's where the problem comes from.
Okay.
You see, you're still fighting the 36%, and then now let's say now 3.5 per kilogram. You see, now these are two wars. One was a little bit, you know, somehow, and you felt that you may not, you know, contain, you understand that? Fighting yourself out, and then they bring 3.5 now. 3.5 now, that's, you know, getting somebody from the frying pan to fire. Okay. Understand that? So that's where the problem was. We are still fighting the previous, trying to negotiate. So still, government now, whenever the 3.5, we come out and advocate against, then now they take you back to the other one of 36%. You understand? So they are both not okay. They are both not okay. We feel that if possible, it would be lowered to around 20%. Okay. Yes. But the 3.5 kilogram, $3.5 per kilogram, it's not anywhere in the world. It's not anywhere in the world. It's
a decrement of till 20%
exactly.
of that.
Yes, if we go back to 20%, maybe they take us 20, maybe probably. But still, I want to assure that the government should really come out rationally and then make enough research about how is business really surviving. Okay. I understand that. Is it surviving in a comfortable mode? Is this Ugandan really really surviving, like probably staying in business for tomorrow, that they can probably continue earning from this business person, or they are trying to put something that is squeezing him down, get into graves and disappear? Because like at the end of the day, you find that Ugandans have gone off to import themselves. Now it's the foreign community importing. For example, if you went in the shoes, it is the Chinese importing
into the country.
Okay. Now the Ugandans go to the Chinese
to buy more,
and then make some small stocks, which is really very bad, because before then it's the Ugandans who used to go themselves import. But now because the Chinese, you can compete with the Chinese, whereby because there are some relaxed policies on the foreign investors. A Chinese comes here as an investor, he goes, brings containers of shoes, and then like finds a big warehouse or maybe a big shop with stores also, and then the factory is for his father or for a relative, and then is maybe given these commodities at a very, you know, kind of charges, prices, and then you as a Ugandan, if you went to the same factory where the relative is getting, then you are not likely to compete. So what you do, you sit back and wait for the Chinese to bring, then you buy from him. That's what is happening. That's what is happening. So at the end of the day, still a Chinese will come here and also make a factory. When he makes a factory, still bring relatives. They will also go be in the supply chain.
Okay.
It's surprisingly that when a Chinese makes a factory in Kapeka, the same Chinese, the same family, they will also have the warehouse and the shops.
True.
In Chikubo. I understand that. So that means where will a Ugandan get fixed? Probably if they were so aligned that now this Chinese, so I'm sorry to talk about the Chinese. I'm not a racist, but I'm okay. If this foreign community, it goes into the value addition. Okay, where Ugandans may not have enough money to make factories. If they are there, let them stay there. Now let the Ugandans, they themselves, probably go into the supply chain. Understand that? Okay. Let them be the wholesalers. Let them be in the retail. But if you allow the foreign community to be the one in the value addition factory level, and then from there you make you give them the leverage to be in the supply chain. And understand that they take the whole supply chain to a level of retail. This is so bad. It doesn't make sense. Now that means the nationalistic, you know, kind of motive, you loses it. Understand that? It loses value. Now where is the local content act working?
I want to understand something to do with that. I hear words like Ndibota. In Ndibota, people will say Ngenda kusala Ndibota in the morning. Where do these clothes come from?
These clothes, they come from different countries, by the way. Okay. They come from London. They come from they come as far as from Brazil. Okay. They come from USA.
Via ship or plane?
Most of them come via ship.
Okay.
You know, the bells, you know, the Ndibota thing. Okay. So when they get in here, then by the way, these clothes are they are donated.
Okay.
You know, so some people give them as donation. Okay. But other people take advantage, obviously, and then they bring them on Ndibota. And when we talk about Ndibota, the second hand, there are these things, electronics. Okay. Ndibota, sort of some kind of, you know, you know, second hand fridges, second hand TVs, second hand computers, and all that. Even Ndibota sort of kind, and so on. Until you know, use the electronics with Gambia to know they are environmental hazards. Never scholarship, never stopping them a little bit. I understand that. But these things are thrown on the streets of developed countries. Somebody just wake up and then he brings out a fridge, najiteka wabweru. Obechege. Kati wamologiteka ebweru, eventually odina jana ajironda, because there is a very good, you know, kind of supply chain. You know, whereby like somebody is in London, engoye balonda nonde, ne basparkinga, ne basiba mu Ndibota, then ne basindika maybe olina azigaba for donation, olina yena jana bazitunda.
When you mention donation, does it mean they do not remit any taxes? Doesn't URA charge them?
Again, akatatuno musolo gwa unagwa bagongeza ogw'Ndibota.
Gwali gwameka?
Before, I'm not very sure, but again, Gubade, I think it has gone now to around Ndibota kati eringe eri mu 40%. Yali Ndibota yalinye, by the way, that's very true.
And if you're to look at the Ndibota, is it just a city? Do they charge per kilo still?
No. The Ndibota, they don't charge per kilo. So like the value.
Okay.
Kati leo gonna days ya mitwala 5 ne bagamba kati value if it is 30 kati walao mitwala ngusitebanga 15. Okay. Something like that. You understand? So but with the Ndibota and ikisinzira Ndibota ya masuka, Ndibota ya blanketi, Ndibota ya masati, something like that. So the Ndibotas vary. Every Ndibota is of a certain category. There is Ndibota of suits, there is Ndibota of shirts, so of different category. These are of different category, and they have got different values, by the way. Okay. And also they've also got different class, because there is Ndibota first class, whereby like shirts first class, there is Ndibota, you know, second class, third class, and all that. So they value. So when those people are parking the Ndibotas, absolutely, they, you know, they choose that these are good shirts, and then they call them first class, second class, something like that.
Depends on the quality.
And the quality.
All right.
Yes.
And after the break, we're having more discussions to do with the imported garments taxes, the taxes on imported garments. More and more are coming up in our discussions because we want to understand more. Do even these traders understand these taxes? Are they aware of these taxes, or they just remit what they don't know? We are having more of that after the break. Keep it smart means business. This is Smart 24.